I hope that you're doing okay. I know it's kind of a pretty crazy time. You're probably super bored, super stressed, maybe a little scared. But one thing that I find super comforting in this time is that we're kind of all in this together. You're not alone. There's people literally across America doing the exact same thing. Everyone has to stay home. Everyone's kind of lonely. Everyone's kind of bored. And we're all experiencing the same thing. And so it kind of makes me take a deep breath in, out, know that we're all in this together. We're all going to get through it, and we're going to be okay. And so first of all, I want to say that I'm really proud of you for taking the time to watch this video, for taking the time to set aside time for Jesus when you could be sleeping or binge watching The Office. This is a really cool thing that you're doing, and I'm really believe that if you take advantage of this time to spend quality time with Jesus, to focus on Him, that He's going to bless you through that, and this time can be a really, really sweet time for you. So first, before we get started, let me pray. Dear God, I thank you for technology. I thank you that even though we're in such a crazy time of life, that you've given us the tools that we need to stay connected, God, to worship you together still. God, I thank you that you're in control, even in the midst of this, God, that you know what is best and that we don't need to worry or fret or try and win back that control, but in your hands is the best place that we could be. And so, God, I pray that you would help us to take a step back, to slow down during this time, to focus on you, to worship you, to pray, to spend time in your word. God, I pray that you would be with my middle school and high school friends and help them to slow down this week, God. Give them peace, give them comfort. God, bring them joy. Have them spend super awesome time with their family, God. That's sweet and special. And I pray that you would speak to them during this time, God, and that they would grow closer to you. It's in your name I pray. Amen. So, last week, Laura taught us about After You, which is living your lives about others rather than yourself, focusing on the people around you rather than just living super selfishly, focused on yourself, living for yourself. The 3 takeaways from that video were noticing the people around you, discovering what others are going through, and then taking action to serve those people. If we want to live like Jesus, the series that we're doing right now is going to give us practical steps that we can use to look like Jesus. It's super simple. We're just going to walk through some ways that you can look like Jesus. You can live your life like Jesus did. And so if you haven't watched last week's video, you can find it on our Instagram, and it's going to be a really cool series. So stay tuned. Today we're going to talk about conveniences. So convenience is something that saves you either time or effort. Like Starbucks. It's going to save you the time and effort you would have had to do of picking your coffee beans, grinding them up, distilling them, turning them into juice, adding your favorite creamer and sugar, or your car. It's going to take way less time to take you to the Taylor Swift concert in Nashville than you would have had to walk. And right now, you're sitting in quarantine and you're probably thinking of a few conveniences that you really miss, like Starbucks, like your car, or Chick-fil-A, or the gym, or the library. Maybe just me on the library. But you're also probably thinking of a few things, a few conveniences that you're really, really thankful for, like your phone, FaceTime, Netflix, video games. I mean, they're everywhere. And even though a convenience saves us time and effort, it also costs something. Like your Starbucks still costs like $50. Your phone still costs a preposterous amount of money. And maybe you didn't have to buy it. Maybe your parents bought it for you, but they made you do laundry for a whole month. And so conveniences still cost somebody somewhere something. They're not totally free. And so we're going to hold that thought, and we're going to jump into Luke 10, 25 through 29. I'm going to read it from my Bible right here if you want to join along. Put it into your phone, pull out your Bible, whatever you need to do. And it's Luke 10, 25 through 29. And it says, "And behold, a lawyer stood up to put him to the test, saying, 'Teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?' He said to him, 'What is written in the law? How do you read it?' And he answered, 'You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself.' And he said to him, 'You have answered correctly. Do this and you will live.' But he, desiring to justify himself, said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" So this lawyer walks up to Jesus and thinks he's about to pull one over on him. Thinks he's going to get him. Thinks he's going to look really smart, really cool, and going to get a gold star and A+. And Jesus is about to rock this guy's world. This guy thinks he's really cool, he's really good, and Jesus is about to tell him to do the opposite of what he's been doing. So let's read on and see what Jesus says. He says, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell among robbers, who stripped him, beat him, and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a priest was walking down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. He went to him, bound up his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he set him on his own animal and brought him to an inn and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper, saying, 'Take care of him, and whatever you spend I will repay you when I come back.' Which of these 3 do you think proved to be a neighbor to the man who fell among the robbers?" He said, "The one who showed him mercy." And Jesus said to him, "You go and do likewise." So the backstory is that Samaritans were not cool. The people listening to the story Jesus is telling think that Samaritans are uncool, dirty, unholy, the bad guys, the Southside Serpents. And so it's kind of crazy that Jesus tells a story where the hero of the story is the Southside Serpent and the villain of the story is the Pope, literally. He kind of twists it to where the people listening to this story see the hero as someone they don't like. Jesus kind of turns their hatred into a model and tells them they should be like the very people they hate. And so what he means by this is he's basically telling the lawyer that you aren't doing what I really want you to do. You know the law, you told me right there what you should do, but you're not really living it out. And so Jesus tells him a story about what he really means when he says, love your neighbor as yourself, love your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. This is what it looks like. And so it's cool. He's telling the lawyer it's cool that you're super nice to the popular kids, that you're really respectful to your favorite teacher, that you're really nice to your friends and to your crush. But what about the kid that sits alone at lunch? What about the person that doesn't have any followers? What about the really awkward kid everyone makes fun of? What you do for those people is what I'm talking about. It's not really love, it's not really compassion if you're just nice to people who are nice to you. But what true, love, compassion is for the people that maybe can't do anything for you. Maybe have done some things to hurt you. Jesus didn't pick and choose who he sought out. He didn't pick and choose who he loved, who he served. Jesus served everyone. And he didn't have, certain dislikes or certain preferences on who it was. He served everyone. And if we want to look like Jesus, that's what we should do. We shouldn't pick and choose who we're going to love. We shouldn't pick and choose who we're going to be nice to. But everyone in our life deserves Jesus' love. And we are the light to everyone in our lives. And so think about this for a minute. Has there ever been a time where you could have helped someone, but you didn't? I know at least for me, every time I go to work at Cruise, there's probably at least 3 homeless people that I pass asking for money, and I know that not even most of the time do I stop and even talk to them for a second, let alone give them any money. And so this story kind of tells us that we don't have an excuse. There's not ever a time where we can just ignore it. Jesus didn't just ignore some people, and honestly, we could have been the person he ignored if he did ignore someone. So we should be super thankful that Jesus didn't ignore a certain group of people, and we should do likewise and not pick and choose who we're going to talk to. And so there are 3 kind of takeaways that we get from this story, is that we should be open with our time this week. there are some convenient things that we can do with our time, like binge watch, play video games, lock ourselves in our room, make TikToks. Those are really convenient. But choose this week to do something a little inconvenient with your time. Find someone in your life that needs help, that needs love, that needs your attention, and just focus on that this week. Shout out to Sarah Binko. I saw on her story that she's going to write letters to whoever sends her address. That is a super simple way to think of others during this time. To just sit down and write them a letter saying you're thinking of them, saying you're thankful for them. And that's not focusing on yourself. That's a really cool thing to do. Shout out to Sarah. Second thing you can do is be open with your money. I know you probably don't have a lot. Even if you had a job, you probably lost it during this time. But the great thing is that you don't have to have a lot to give a lot. To make someone's day, you don't have to have thousands of dollars. You could have a quarter and give your sister a Tootsie Roll. Something to make someone smile. It doesn't have to be a lot. Third thing you can do is be open to everyone. Open your hands and leave them open for whoever God puts in your life. Don't close them for someone who is different than you or less cool than you or whatever it is. Just let God use you during this time, and I really believe that it's going to be awesome, that you're not going to regret it, and that God can do something really, really cool through this if you let Him. So we're praying for you, and we miss you, and we hope to see you next week. Bye, guys.